everybody. It's Stevie B at PTC, and we're here again with another exciting episode of PTC Live. And today's guest is Mr. Daniel Greenwell. And Daniel is the horticulture program director. But Daniel, tell us a little bit more about what you do in your program.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Steve, for having me on. Like you said, I'm the horticulture program director. I oversee Piedmont Tech has diversified agriculture and horticulture technology programs. So I kind of oversee both of those programs. Our diversified agriculture program is located down in Saluda at the Saluda campus. And they offer the 2-year degree there as well as one certificate offering. And they do things in that program like row crop production, maintenance of farm machinery, animal science. So they've got two, an introductory and an advanced animal science class where they look at caring for different farm animals. We also do, let's see here, as well as ag business. So that's another ag economics and ag marketing. Some of the primary instructor down at Saluda is Roger Estridge, and he has owned and operated his own farm for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. He's also got a master's in ag education. He's taught in the high school system for 15 years, agriculture in the high school system. So he has got a ton of experience in both teaching and agriculture. And one of the highlights, I would say, of the ag program is Roger does an excellent job of going on field trips to farms around the area, exposing students to, the real industry. He also has a lot of guest speakers come in and speak about their experience owning and operating various farms. And then myself, I'm the primary instructor for the horticulture program, and that's located at the Greenwood campus. And so we do things like growing plants. It's a greenhouse production of plants, ornamental plants, vegetable. So small scale vegetable production, that would be the differentiator between the ag program and the horticulture program, is they'll do larger scale crop production, and we cover kind of some of the smaller vegetable farming. We do a lot of landscaping as well. So landscape design, landscape installation, landscape maintenance, turf grass management. Those are all topics that we cover in our program.
That's great. And, if you're a novice like me, when you start thinking about horticulture and ag, you start thinking about being a country boy driving back and forth from Greenwood to my hometown of Newberry and seeing the cattle and the big old fields and things of that nature. But then in your life, you become a homeowner. You start to notice how things are trimmed, businesses, buildings, the beautification projects all around. And you get to know someone like yourself who is responsible for teaching people how to do that. So why don't you take a little bit of time and tell us about horticulture and what it takes to become one of those types of people that is qualified to do those things that are so necessary in neighborhoods, businesses, and other sorts of areas in our communities.
Absolutely. And so to kind of address your question, what is horticulture? There's a lot of people that have never heard that term. It's not a term that's used in daily conversation. So horticulture, this will be me kind of nerding out for a minute, but it's a Latin word that starts, it's the combination of hortus and culture. And I probably butchered the pronunciation of that in Latin, but it essentially means the care of a garden. So, at the root of it, you're caring for, it could be any kind of garden. So it can be a vegetable garden, it can be a flower garden, but that's the root of the word. And so in the industry, we've kind of adopted in, as part of landscaping, we've adopted in other practices like, installing irrigation systems and installing patios and things like that wouldn't truly be what we would call horticulture, but it's been kind of adopted into the landscaping process. So we consider that part of the, at least the landscape horticulture industry. And so students would do things like landscape management. So that could include the management of turf, as well as pruning shrubs, fertilizing shrubs. Pest management is a big aspect of that as well. And so not just pests in the sense of insects and diseases, but there's a lot of different problems that you can encounter in the landscape due to, drought stress or over fertilization, under fertilization. So a horticulturist really has to be like a diagnostician or really an investigator. So you go out and you look in the landscape and you'll see a plethora of problems, and you've got to be able to kind of sort through what are the multiple potential causes of those, and then how do I solve those problems. Why is my plant dying? That's what everybody's going to come to you and say. My plant's dying, help me. And so that's kind of what a horticulturist is going to do, is be able to solve those problems and figure out the right solution. um,
And what do I do? What do I have to do to become a horticulturist? Tell me about your program. Tell us about your program, the length of your programs, what kind of specified training will be in those programs.
Absolutely. So in the horticulture program, we've got the associate's degree. It's an associate's in applied science and horticulture technology, and that's 66 credit hours. So that takes about 2 years and maybe one semester. We've also got 4 shorter certificate offerings. So we have a greenhouse management certificate, we have a turf grass management certificate, a landscape management certificate, and a landscape design and installation certificate. So the goal of those certificates is to give people a shorter option, that are really interested in just one of those trajectories. So the associate's degree encompasses all of those certificates. It encompasses all of those different aspects of horticulture. But let's say, for example, if you want to work on a golf course, managing the greens and the tees and the fairways, or maybe you already work there and you just want to get a credential in the turf grass side, you could come and you could actually complete the turf grass management certificate in one semester. So the turf grass management is one semester. All the other 3 certificates can be completed in 1 year. And so it offers a really focused, shorter credential that's going to help you out, whether you want to start your own business or try to seek employment in that industry.
That's an interesting question. Just as an aside, so the guy that comes and sprays my yard and makes it look green, and then I go out there and say, well, all of those things aren't grass. You just got them the same color. He's not a horticulturist. He's just a guy that's out there. He's a lawn maintenance guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, when you're talking about your degrees and your credentials, let's talk about opportunities, professional opportunities that are available to your students.
Absolutely. So I can just tell you some of the actual jobs that some of my students are in right now. So we've got a graduate from about a year or 2 ago that's a landscape enhancement manager with Brightview up in the Greenville area. So what she does is she handles, it's not as much the turf grass, but the management of all the trees and the shrubs in the landscapes. That would be things like fertilizing, pruning, pest management. We got 2 students that are horticulturists at Augusta National, and they manage the landscape more so than the turf grass. So they manage the landscape plant. I mean, obviously, Augusta National is known for their azalea collection,
right,
as well. Just they're really, really attractive grounds, and so they help with managing that. I've got another student who's a landscape manager who does he supervises installation projects in the upstate area. We've got a couple students that one student is now the lead horticulturist in the city of Greenwood. So she supervises the topiary program. She also manages a lot of the landscaping uptown. So in uptown Greenwood, there's a lot of flower displays, annual flower displays. So she supervises kind of the designing and the installation and the transition of from summer annuals to winter annuals, planting those. And I've got another student that's at Roebuck Nursery outside of Greenville. And so they grow and sell a lot of woody plants. So your trees and shrubs that you would purchase at the garden center, he manages those. He does a good bit of propagation. So creating new plants from cuttings and seeds, and also deals with the landscape division there. In addition to that, there's things like landscape design. So through our program and just in general as a kind of a horticulture pathway, you could become a landscape designer, which there's pretty good money in that. That's an easy field to gain entry into if you have the right training. There's not a lot of cost barriers. You don't have to buy large equipment. If you have the knowledge to do landscape design, you can get into that field pretty easily. And then, so we talked about designer. Another one would be golf course and athletic field turf grass management. So you could be a superintendent at a golf course, or there's positions under that. Superintendent is kind of the highest position there. Very, very well paid in that role. But there's also assistant superintendents, there's technicians, spray technicians, as well as turf grass technicians that would do the mowing. Golf course and athletic field management is very rigorous. So there's a lot that goes into it that people probably wouldn't know unless they saw it. But so those are some of the kind of the career opportunities that a student could have after they graduated from our program.
That is absolutely incredible. I'm sitting here and, I would have never thought of those things. It's a multifaceted, multi-layered career field with so many tremendous opportunities. I mean, I take it for granted that when I go and play golf, this place just looks good and you see one guy there, and it doesn't seem like it takes as much as you've obviously stated, as much as a professional technician to keep it that way. That is absolutely incredible. And the other range of jobs that you just talked about is truly phenomenal. The question will always come up, and before we get to it, before we go away from it, we might as well ask the question. Can you talk to us a little bit about, starting salaries, salary ranges, some of those sorts of things in your experience?
That's a great question, and that's definitely one that everybody has about whatever field they're potentially going to go into. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. With part of it is if you just complete, let's say, the associate's degree, and you don't have any other work experience, you haven't done an internship, you're probably looking at a starting salary right out of graduation, anywhere from 25,000 a year on the low end to 40,000 a year on the high end. Now, if you do an internship, or some of the students will actually work at the same time as they're taking classes in a horticulture related job. So I've got some students that are working at the golf course here locally at the same time as taking classes. That's helping build up their resume and give them experience, which is what the industry wants as well. So if a student has completed an internship, or they have maybe 1 to 3 years of work experience at the point when they graduate, you might be looking at anywhere from 30 to 45,000 as a starting salary.
Sure.
And then down the road, when you get a little more experience under your belt, let's say maybe 7 to 10 years of experience in addition to that 2-year degree, you can be looking at anywhere from $50 to $80,000 a year. So you can really you can get to that higher end. I don't want to promise my students that they're going to get $60,000 right when they graduate, because that's not likely true. But and I imagine this is the case in any field of study. As you get more experience, you get more likely to get those high paying jobs. So you can certainly get those higher paying jobs with more experience, but right out of the gate, you're looking at anywhere from 20 to 40, $45,000.
What about independent contracting, Daniel? You spoke about things like the golf courses and other things, but and now lawn care and property care is just exploding all over the place in residential neighborhoods, business industries, commercial properties. Do you have a lot of students that end up being independent contractors or owning their own businesses?
Yeah, we do. So we've got, I would say it's about a third of the students that come through our program end up owning their own businesses. Some of them come in already owning a business, and it might be kind of, they just started it. It's not extraordinarily official yet, but they kind of do some landscaping work on the side, and they're trying to build up that business, and they come here to learn some new skills to add on services. So on the landscape side, most of the students that come in wanting to own their own business already do some lawn care, and they're looking to add some services like irrigation installation, maybe landscape design, doing some hardscape installation like paver pathways and patios, and things like that. So we do get a very good number, I would say, that end up owning their own businesses.
Oh, that's great. Oh, before I forget, you say you got somebody on the inside that might be able to give me some tickets to the Masters.
I wish.
Pretty sure that's not. Look, if you get 2 tickets, man, you got to take me with you.
I will let you know.
just to see the azaleas.
Oh yeah, for sure. That'll be what I go to see.
So Daniel, there's a lot of hands-on training. Kind of walk us through what types of hands-on training takes place within the program.
Yeah, absolutely. For this, Steve, I'm going to walk you around to a couple places around our facility and show you some of the projects that we've worked on.
Okay, great.
So I'm right out here at the front of our facility, the horticulture facility. This is right as we walk out of the gate into our parking lot.
Mhm.
And so this has been a project that our students have worked on in various labs for the course of about 2.5 years now. And this area that you're looking at used to be just weeds and clay. There was nothing else. So it was a pretty desolate, unattractive landscape area. And the first thing that we did was to install this retaining wall. So the students in our landscape construction class in our lab actually excavated our trench. We laid our base material and they laid this retaining wall.
Mhm.
The next thing to do was actually to add amended soil behind the retaining wall. So we put in a combination of topsoil and compost to give ourselves a nice rich planting bed.
Mhm.
And then we've added, so all these plants that you're seeing in here are brand new. They've been planted since the last 2 years. And our goal was really to create a really nice front entrance to kind of teach the students what they could do for a business, if they were landscaping for a business or a home. So through this, they've learned to install a retaining wall. They've learned about soil composition and kind of soil health as it relates to plant health. This semester, actually, over the past 2 weeks, you can see in here, we've got some brown tubing. In our commercial irrigation class, our students have installed drip irrigation here, which is a efficient and water conservational method of irrigating um, plants. So the students have learned how to design that and install it. We've got a tree here where our students this past week learned how to install and stake the tree so that it doesn't fall over from wind damage. Over the summer, I'll back up a little bit and you can see the turf grass. Over the summer, our landscape maintenance class installed the sod here. And so we've got just a really nice, attractive landscape area where the next step for us is going to be to mulch it. But just to give you an example, we do lectures, but we also get out in the lab and do a lot as well. So the students can really get that hands-on training. The next thing that I'm showing you here is a channel drain. And I know this might not seem landscape related, but in the landscape, one of the things that we have to deal with is water movement and moving water away from buildings and not staying in a certain area so that it stays saturated. So here we actually had a real issue in front of our tool shed with water draining into our tool shed and causing a hazardous environment that was slippery. So our students used a concrete saw and we cut out the asphalt and we installed a channel drain. And now I'll walk over and you can see where the water pours out of. So it goes underneath the concrete and the water will pour out right there. So that's obviously a landscape installation related project. And the next thing that I'll go to, this probably doesn't look like much right now, but our landscape construction class is in the process of installing a water feature, a disappearing waterfall.
Okay.
Up at the top of that, looks kind of like an anthill. We've got a rock at the top there. That's going to be the face where our water pours out of on top of that. And where you see the black fabric, that's actually kind of wrapped around right now. That'll be expanded outwards, and that's where the water is going to pour into. So just kind of another real world project. And the last thing I'll show you is our greenhouse.
This is where it all happens in the greenhouse, right?
Yeah, this is where it starts. So we've got we've got 10 varieties of poinsettias in here right now. So this is our fall crop that we use in our greenhouse production class. So the students throughout the whole semester, they care for these. We fertilize them, we plant them, we have to space them, we have to treat them with various. We use a biological fungicide to treat for root rot issues. And come November, these are going to look absolutely awesome. We got all different colors in here. And, you know, so the students learn how to do this. In the springtime, we do spring flowering crops for our spring sale. And these poinsettias will be sold in our fall sale in early December.
Those are the Christmas poinsettias, right?
That's right. So those are a classic Christmas plant. And like I said, we've got 10 varieties that all different colors, white, pink, red, peppermint color. So it's one of the most exciting crops to grow, in my opinion.
I'm gonna have to make sure I get over there and get one of those. I might be able to get some brownie points in the house. I come home with some brightly colored poinsettias around the holidays. Well, Daniel, that's, you know, it's phenomenal to see all of that, because to, you know, a novice like myself, you know, you just think, you know, you run the water off, run one way, you build up some soil, you plant some things, and it looks good. But this is a science, and you know, it's something that is far more intricate than what meets the eye. Am I correct?
That's correct. Absolutely. In horticulture, we often call it both an art and a science. You know, there's a you kind of have to have an artistic eye, but there's a lot of science that goes into you know, just to use an example, one thing that should be fairly simple, and I was an offender before I was a horticulturist, but something as simple as planting a tree, you can do it wrong in so many ways that actually will kill the tree over the course of time. And so that's where you know, science, there's a lot of research goes into horticulture and determining fertilization rates and how to plant and how to prune. And so it very much is scientific. It's not just hearing, you know, learning how to prune from your grandfather. You know, not that that's bad advice necessarily, but there actually is a lot of science behind it, like you said.
Wow. What other types of things do your students get involved in? I know you have a group of individuals that come together with a singular passion, but different avenues that they might want to travel. How do they nurture those instincts? Are there clubs and organizations for your students to get involved in?
Yeah, we have a horticulture club here that pretty much all of our students in the horticulture program are automatically a part of. And our two biggest events for, well, there's really three events. The two events on campus are our poinsettia sale in the fall, and then our spring sale in the wintertime. And those are both, you know, social to kind of, like you said, you gather people like-minded and they get together and have fun over the course of participating in that sale. It's also a learning experience where they get to learn how to the kind of some of the business side of it. So we
Sure.
look at some of the finances of that. And those sales are fundraisers for the club. And what that ultimately culminates in is our biggest club event is in the springtime. We attend the National Collegiate Landscape Competition,
Okay.
which it takes place all over the country based on the year. So the last year that it met in person prior to COVID was at Colorado State University. So we took a team of 5 students there, and that competition, like I said, it's national. So there's about 60 schools from all around the country that attend that. NC State, UGA, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Penn State. A lot of these really big 4-year schools, as well as some other 2-year schools, will also be there. And there's about 30 different events the students can compete in. Things like equipment operation, plant identification, landscape design. At the last event in, like I said, in 2019, we actually had our landscape installation team ranked 5th out of 60 teams. You know, beating out, it has really exciting, you know, that the students were able to do that, beating out some of the big name 4-year institutions. And so whether the students go and they score high or low doesn't matter to me that much. It's a learning experience. But it is exciting to see that that they're learning and doing a good job there. And in addition to competing, there's actually about 100 companies there that are recruiting for interns and employees. So it gives our students some exposure to some of those really big companies in the industry that are looking to hire. So very exciting opportunity.
You know, one thing I can tell by our conversation is how passionate you are about the craft and about your students. So tell us a little bit about some of your student success stories. I know you must be one proud guy. particularly, I mean, you got a school, I'm just going to say the size of Piedmont Technical College, that goes off into these major competitions in places, you know, fifth among schools that have 30, 40,000 students and multi-million dollar budgets. So tell us a little bit more about some of your student success stories, some of the things that you're proud to see your students doing on a competitive level.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of my favorite things as an instructor is kind of sharing some of these exciting opportunities with my students, where that was the case for me back when I was a student, and my instructors did for me was they told me, you know, out in the industry, fortunately in our horticulture industry, there's so many awesome opportunities. And so that is one of the most exciting parts about my job, is being able to share, you know, those things with my students and try to encourage them to just maybe step out of their comfort zone and do some new things and take advantage of those. But some of the things that, you know, you talked about that we would call success stories is we've had over the past 2 years, we've had one student each year, one in 2019, one in 2020, awarded a travel scholarship to attend the National Irrigation Association trade show that meets out in California and Las Vegas.
Wow,
So they get an all expenses paid trip, pay for their flight, hotel. They get to go out, attend education sessions, network with some of the leading people in the industry, and also see the trade show. So they get to see all the new products, the irrigation products. This year, we've had a student that was selected as a National Association of Landscape Professionals student ambassador to attend, again, all expenses paid, to attend the National Landscape Show in Louisville. So he'll get to go out there. He's going to assist in introducing speakers at the show, and assist, you know, volunteering with different activities there, and also getting to attend education sessions. So that's just, you know, really exciting. So those are some of the more notable kind of success stories. Also, you know, and another one that I'm just remembering now is our internship. So our students are not required to do an internship through the program, but they're given the opportunity to, and I strongly encourage them to do that. So in the summer semester, we have online courses which allows them to step out and do an internship. And so this past summer, we had a student intern with the J.C. Ralston Arboretum at NC State University, which is one of the, you know, to people that are not in horticulture, you probably never heard of it, but it's one of the more notable botanical gardens in the country for their plant collection. They've got over 4,000 different species of plants there. And then we've also got a student that's currently completing a year-long internship at Longwood Botanical Gardens up in Pennsylvania, which is pretty definitively the most prestigious botanical garden in the U.S. And so, you know, it's just a really great opportunity for those students to learn. We had another student intern with a landscape company up in Kentucky. And so what I can say is all the students that wanted to do an internship this past summer did it. So there was not a single student that said, hey, I want to do an internship, and we couldn't find something for them. So, you know, if you're a good student, it's not all about just finding it. You've got to be a good, hardworking student, you know, to get these opportunities. But if you're a hardworking student, we'll find something for you as a student to intern at, or to take advantage of that opportunity.
Man, that's awesome. Let's wind it down by talking about cost and affordability.
Yeah, so there's several of our certificates: the turf grass management certificate, the landscape management certificate, and the landscape design and installation certificate, that there's an opportunity for students to, I believe you may have to be a South Carolina resident, but to take advantage of those for free. And that can be an entryway to the associates program. There's also scholarships that are available. I know the Piedmont Tech Foundation has scholarships that students can apply for, and I know some of our horticulture students have been awarded those in the past. There's a lot of industry scholarships as well. I had one student receive a scholarship from the National Association of Landscape Professionals last year for maybe around $1,000. With those scholarships, my advice to the students always, I actually give them a list of about maybe 30 scholarships that are available when they start the program. And I encourage them to apply for as many as they can. And, you know, if you apply for 10 scholarships, you may only get one. So if you only apply for one or two, you may not get any. But So we've had some students get those scholarships. It's not a guarantee, but there's opportunities out there that can be of assistance.
Well, Daniel, that's all I have, man. It's tremendous information that you shared. Your passion is obvious for the work that you do and the students that you work with. We appreciate you for that. College values your contributions as an instructor and the contributions of your students on campus and in the community. Is there anything you'd like to close with? Anything I didn't ask that you wanted me to ask?
No, I think
Okay.
we covered. I think we covered everything, Steve. I just want to say thank you. And Piedmont Tech is an amazing college to go to, whether it's the horticulture program or a different one. As a faculty here, just the faculty and staff are all amazing, and the students are amazing too. So I guess what I would leave with is if anybody is interested in either the horticulture or the agriculture programs, please reach out to myself, or really anyone in the college can direct you to me, and we'd be more than willing to have you come out and look at the facilities, answer any questions that you may have, um, and thank you for joining in.
All right. Well, Daniel, thank you so much. It's been another wonderful program here on PTC Live. Once again, it's me, Stevie B at PTC, bringing you the good things about Piedmont Technical College, our program services, and our fantastic instructors like Mr. Daniel Greenway. We'll catch you next time on PTC Live.